Here at CyberNews, we've had our fair share of PayPal scam stories. One of the earliest ones we covered was a complicated PayPal Facebook scam that was stealing millions from people every single month. In another story, we actually heard from one of the victims, 73-year-old John Richards, who almost fell victim to the scam. But in a twist of fate, instead of losing thousands of pounds to the scammers, John ended up taking money from them until they could prove that the money was actually theirs. A couple of weeks ago, we were approached by Isabelle Taylor, an early retiree who had money stolen from her by a scam site pretending to sell Garden of Life vitamin products. This story has a good ending though. After we contacted PayPal to find out more information about Isabelle's story, they decided to give her what they called a goodwill refund. But what's even more interesting is that when we dug a bit deeper into the website that had originally stolen the money from her, a site called gardenoflifego.com, we uncovered that it was just one scam site. There were actually 40 of these scam sites all around the internet, stealing who knows how much money from innocent people like Isabelle or even you. Let's first hear about Isabelle's story of how she lost the money and her troubles in dealing with PayPal. Then we'll dive into how the scam works, and finally, we'll uncover the cluster of sites, some of which at this very moment are still active. Isabelle tells CyberNews that she first found the website selling deeply discounted Garden of Life nutritional supplements on Google. Normally they'd go for $125, but this site was selling them for less than $80. So she bought them and paid with PayPal. Within minutes, the seller provided her with a UPS tracking number for the package as she checked it on the UPS website. That's when she discovered something odd. The tracking number was for an item that had been sent 10 days earlier and delivered 5 days before she bought the products. She immediately tried to call the seller, but the number didn't work. She emailed them, but no response. She filed a fraud case on PayPal but didn't get any support from them. She went back to check on the seller's website, but then discovered it was no longer working. Even worse, PayPal refused to refund her. A few months later, she found out previous stories on PayPal scams and contacted us. When we reached out to PayPal, a spokesperson told CyberNews, when we consulted the seller, they were able to provide tracking information, and as a result, we rejected her claim. Given the time that has passed, we are no longer able to verify Ms. Taylor's claims. However, we have issued a goodwill refund to bring the dispute to a positive resolution. So how exactly does this scam work? Well, I'd say it's pretty easy. So let's say a victim, Isabelle here, buys an item for a great price from a website she thinks it's real. Of course, she doesn't know it's a scam site, so she goes ahead and pays with PayPal. That's the first step. Next, the scammer generates a fake UPS tracking code that he immediately sends to Isabelle. The victim gets the code and thinks everything is great. Sometime later, she checks the tracking code and discovers that it's actually not for her address at all, and may even already be delivered in the past, as with Isabelle's case. So at this point, the victim gets worried and opens up a dispute in PayPal. When you open up a dispute, you're telling PayPal that something's gone wrong and you want your money back from the seller. However, more often than not, PayPal sides with the seller, the scammer here, and you never get your money back. So from this, we get two questions. One, how does a scammer get UPS tracking code specifically for the victim's zip code? And two, why does PayPal usually side with the seller? So for number one, we dug around the dark web and hacker forums to understand how the scam works in the back end. It seems that there are a few further sellers who are able to provide scammers with fake UPS tracking codes on demand. One seller on these hacker forums claims to be able to generate a real tracking code in just 7 minutes. We asked UPS how it's possible that anyone is able to generate these codes so quickly, whether they had a breach in their systems, or if it's possibly someone working inside UPS and supplying these scammers with tracking codes. However, UPS did not respond to these questions, instead just stating that this situation has been correctly labeled as a scam and a result of fraudulent behavior by bad actors. UPS has resources dedicated to preventing, identifying, and stopping fraudulent activity. We do not disclose those methods to maintain their effectiveness. So for question number two, at least we have a clearer answer. On PayPal's seller protection page, PayPal explicitly states that it will provide protection for sellers if they provide two types of evidence: digital or physical proof that the item was sent by the seller, and proof that the item was delivered by the delivery company. And that's where the scammers are successful with these fake UPS tracking codes. They meet both conditions: proof of an item being sent and proof of an item being delivered. Even though the item was sent and delivered to the wrong address in Isabelle's case, and 5 days before the order was actually placed, that seems not to matter for PayPal's seller protection program to kick in. So we understand the mechanics and success of the scam. Let's go into how we uncovered the network of 40 scam sites. Isabelle gave us the URL of the site that stole her money, gardenoflifego.com. Unfortunately, by the time she contacted us, the site had already been taken down. So I looked at an archived version of the site on Wayback Machine and found something interesting. The site's Terms of Service page led us to a very specific address in Atlanta, Georgia. Searching for that on Google brought us to a live site, colovitamins.com, with the same address on its terms of service page. Looking through that site, we found that nearly everything was the same. In fact, it was a duplicate of the original scam site, gardenoflifego.com. Then we ran the colovitamins.com IP address through the VirusTotal graph and discovered that there were 37 websites on the same server that appeared to be connected to this cluster of scam sites. In this image, you can also see some malware files on the right related to this scam cluster. After that, we noticed that a lot of these sites were using a logo for something called Vitamin Cheapest and the email address support@vitamincheapest.com. So I searched for that keyword in Google and discovered that there were an additional 16 scam sites to add to the 37 from the VirusTotal graph, for a total of 53 sites. So of these 53, we could confidently state that 40 of these are scam sites. First is the logo that, like we said, either has the Vitamin Cheapest logo or has a green and blue logo like the original scam site, gardenoflifego.com. Beyond that, these scam sites have the same footer, including stealing the Garden of Life logo. Garden of Life is a product from Nestle, by the way. Lastly, they have the same pages like privacy policy, terms of service, and even FAQ. The only thing is that the name of the store has been changed. From the original list of 40 scam sites, most had been shut down. We reported one of the remaining sites, which was hosted by LeaseWeb USA, and it was taken down within a few days. However, at this moment, 3 other scam sites are still live, all hosted by Namecheap. Attempts to reach Namecheap, however, have been unsuccessful. The other sites had to originally return an error when we visited them, but most of them have come back to sport exactly the same page with only the name changed. These all appear to be a slightly modified version of a free theme. We will continue to monitor this scam cluster to see how they update their websites. You can find the full list of the confirmed or suspicious scam domains, which is included in the article linked in the description below. If you enjoyed this investigation, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.